A mind in chains, a gate to freedom. There comes a moment, not always loud, not always dramatic, when you quietly realize something inside you is no longer at peace. The house is silent, the world is quiet, but your mind, it won't rest. Thoughts circle like birds without landing. Worries you thought were long gone return with new faces. You look fine on the outside. You've lived, worked, endured, but lately, something inside feels tight, heavy, unspoken, and maybe, just maybe, you've started to believe that this quiet suffering is just how it is now, that you've missed your chance to feel whole again. That anxiety, fear, or regret is simply what happens after a certain age or after too much loss. But let me tell you something, gently, truthfully, you are not broken. You are not weak. You are simply being called home. In Buddhist wisdom, anxiety isn't a flaw. It's a signal, not a failure, but a doorway. And this path we're about to walk, it won't demand you fix yourself or change your past. It will only ask this, that you breathe, that you listen, that you come closer to the truth that has always lived quietly beneath the fear. This is not a lecture. It's a lantern, and I will walk beside you. When silence becomes a mirror, not a refuge. There is a kind of silence that heals, the kind that settles over you like a warm blanket, inviting you to rest, to breathe, to simply be. But there's another kind of silence, one that doesn't soothe but stirs. It arrives quietly, in the late hours of the night, or in the stillness of an empty home, and instead of peace, it brings unease. It becomes a mirror, one that reflects everything we've tried not to feel. You sit in your favorite chair, maybe the same one you've sat in for years. The room is familiar, the light is soft, but the comfort isn't there anymore. Your thoughts start to surface, not all at once, but like soft footsteps down a hallway. Regrets, what-ifs, things left unsaid. They gather, not loudly, but heavily. You didn't invite them, but there they are. And in that moment, the silence doesn't feel like a refuge. It feels like exposure. This is where many people feel something must be wrong. Why am I anxious when everything is calm? Why does the quiet feel so loud? But what if nothing is wrong with you? What if this is not the unraveling of your peace, but the beginning of your return? In Buddhist practice, we are taught that silence is not meant to distract or to numb. It is meant to reveal. When there is no more noise outside, we begin to hear the voice within. And that voice is not always gentle. Sometimes it trembles. Sometimes it cries. Sometimes it echoes with memories or fears we thought we buried long ago. But this is not a punishment. This is awareness. Silence is not the problem. Our avoidance is. We are used to keeping busy, filling every moment with sound, tasks, distraction. But when the stillness finally finds us, it invites us to meet the self we've ignored. Not to judge it, not to fix it, just to see it, to feel, to listen. And this, though it may be uncomfortable at first, is a sacred beginning. The Buddha did not teach us to run from discomfort. He taught us to sit with it gently, to breathe with it, to open our hearts not just when we feel strong, but especially when we feel raw, exposed, uncertain. Because that's where the truth lives. That's where healing begins, not in avoiding what arises, but in learning how to hold it without fear. So the next time the silence feels heavy, don't rush. To fill it, don't run from it. Sit, breathe, notice. You are not alone in that stillness. You are simply meeting yourself more deeply than before. And though it may not feel like it, that moment is grace in disguise. Anxiety is not the enemy. It's a message. We've been taught, often without words, that anxiety is something to be ashamed of, that it means something is wrong, that if we were truly strong, truly spiritual, truly together, we wouldn't feel this way. So when anxiety comes, tight chest, racing thoughts, that quiet dread. We respond with fear or guilt. We try to push it away, numb it, distract ourselves, or pretend it's not there. But what if anxiety isn't the enemy? What if, instead, it's a messenger? In Buddhist wisdom, suffering isn't a sign of failure. It's a doorway to understanding. The discomfort we feel isn't there to punish us. It's there to reveal something we've perhaps forgotten or ignored. Like a bell ringing in a quiet temple, anxiety is a sound calling our attention back. Back to the breath, back to the present, back to the parts of ourselves we've neglected. You see, many of us have spent our lives running, chasing goals, fulfilling roles, caring for others. We were too busy to stop, too needed to pause. But eventually, when life becomes quieter, when the children grow up, when the work slows down, when the days are no longer filled with noise, what rises to the surface is everything we postponed. Anxiety isn't a new flaw. It's the echo of what's been waiting patiently to be heard. And here's the shift. When we stop seeing anxiety as a flaw, we can begin to see it as a form of communication. It's the body saying, "You've carried too much." It's the heart saying, "Please look here." It's the spirit saying, "You've been moving too fast to notice you're tired." And like any message, it's not here to be fought. It's here to be read, to be listened to. The Buddha taught that suffering arises when we cling or resist. But he didn't say suffering was the end. He pointed us toward a path, a way to meet our pain with mindfulness, curiosity, and compassion. When anxiety arises, we don't need to fix it right away. We don't need to silence it. We simply need to turn toward it gently and ask, "What are you trying to show me?" This small shift from resistance to recognition is powerful. It doesn't erase the discomfort, but it changes our relationship to it. And in that change, something softens. The fight begins to fade. And in its place, a space opens. A space where healing can begin, not by eliminating anxiety, but by understanding its message. So the next time anxiety visits, try not to armor up. Try not to run. Sit. Breathe. Listen. You may be surprised by what you hear. Why we suffer. The pain of holding on and pushing away. Suffering often feels like something that happens to us. Unexpected, unwanted, unfair. But what if the real reason we suffer isn't just what happens, but how we respond to what happens? In Buddhist teaching, the roots of suffering are not found in life's events themselves, but in the mind's reaction, its habit of grasping and resisting. We suffer because we hold on to what's passing and push away what's present. Think about it. We hold on tightly to people we love, to routines that comfort us, to versions of ourselves we're proud of. And when those things begin to change, as they always do, we feel fear. We cling harder. We say, "Don't let this go. Don't take this from me." But life, in its quiet rhythm, keeps moving. The children grow up. The body ages. Roles shift. And the tighter we hold on, the more it hurts. On the other side, we push away what we don't want to face. Pain, illness, loneliness, uncertainty. The idea of growing old. We pretend it's not happening, or we brace ourselves against it, trying to outrun the truth. But resistance doesn't protect us. It exhausts us. It cuts us off from the present. And it keeps us stuck in a constant state of tension, never arriving, never resting. The Buddha taught that whatever is subject to arising is subject to ceasing. Everything changes. Your thoughts, your feelings, your body, your circumstances. Even the pain you feel now, it will rise and fall like waves on the sea. The suffering comes not from the waves, but from the belief that we must control the ocean. This doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we stop clinging. It means we learn to open our hands instead of closing our fists. We learn to meet each moment as it is, not as we wish it would be. And in doing so, we begin to make space for something softer, something more truthful, something that doesn't fight the flow of life, but moves with it. Letting go isn't easy. It's a practice. 1,000 quiet choices every day. But each time you release even a little, a thought, a fear, a fixed idea, you create space. And in that space, peace can begin to grow. Thoughts are not facts. A cloud, not the sky. There are moments when a single thought can shift the weight of your entire world. It begins quietly, like a whisper. What if something goes wrong? What if I'm forgetting something? What if this is the beginning of the end? And before you even notice, you're no longer present. You're lost inside that thought, as if it were the truth. But here's what Buddhist wisdom teaches us. A thought is not a fact. It's just a thought. Our minds are constantly moving, always generating ideas, stories, fears, and interpretations. That's what the mind does. It thinks. But not every thought deserves your belief. Some thoughts are rooted in fear, habits, or old pain. Some are simply echoes of things you've heard or feared for years. And when we don't pause to see them clearly, they become the lens through which we see everything else. We mistake the clouds for the sky. In meditation, we learn to observe the mind without clinging to it, to sit quietly, breathe, and watch the thoughts drift by, just like clouds passing through a vast blue sky. The sky doesn't hold on to the clouds. It doesn't chase them or fight them. It simply allows them to come and go. And that's what we are learning too. Not to control our thoughts, but to stop identifying with them. There's a freedom that comes when you realize you don't have to believe everything you think. You can feel anxious without becoming anxiety. You can have a fearful thought without letting it define your reality. The mind may say something is wrong, but that doesn't mean it's true. The thought may pass through, but you remain steady like the sky. A great teacher once said, "You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf." And Buddhist practice offers us that surfboard, not through force, but through presence. Through learning to see a thought as it is. Temporary, shifting, not you. So the next time a thought arrives that makes your chest tighten or your heart race, pause. Say softly to yourself, "This is just a thought, not a command, not a truth, just a thought." And let it pass, just like a cloud. A gentle shift from "I am anxious" to "This is just a thought." There's a subtle but powerful difference between saying, "I am anxious," and saying, "I'm experiencing anxiety." One defines who you are. The other describes what is happening. Most of us don't notice how often we identify with our thoughts and emotions. The moment we feel fear, we say, "I am afraid." The moment doubt arises, we become that doubt. But in doing so, we give those passing mental states the power to define our identity. And that, in itself, deepens our suffering. Buddhist wisdom invites us to see the mind not as who we are, but as something we can observe. The thoughts and emotions that arise are not you. They are experiences moving through you. Like clouds across a sky, they shift, change, and pass. But the sky remains unchanged. You are not the cloud. You are the sky. This shift from "I am this" to "This is something passing through me" is not just a semantic trick. It's a path to freedom. Because the moment you stop identifying with the anxiety, it begins to lose its grip. You no longer feed it with fear or judgment. You meet it with awareness. You see it for what it is, a temporary condition, not a permanent truth. Think of a child who comes to you crying. You don't become the child. You don't shame them or push them away. You simply hold space. You listen. You stay present. This is the same attitude we can bring to our inner world. When anxiety arises, we don't have to merge with it. We can gently say, "Ah, this is anxiety. It is here, and it, too, will pass." The difference may seem small, but it changes everything. Because when you say, "I am anxious," it becomes your identity. When you say, "This is a moment of anxiety," You create space between you and the experience. And in that space, there is clarity, there is breath, there is choice. The Buddhist teachings were never about denial. They were about awareness. And awareness means we no longer fall asleep inside our emotions. We wake up inside them. Not to fix them, but to be with them fully, without fear. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, try not to say, "I'm falling apart." Try instead, "There's a lot arising in me right now." Notice how even that soft shift opens the heart just a little. This is how we return, not by forcing change, but by meeting each moment with gentle truth. The breath knows the way home. Sometimes it's not the big moments that unsettle us. It's the quiet ones. You're folding laundry. You're drinking your morning tea. You're walking from one room to another. And suddenly, you feel it. A ripple of unease. A weight in the chest. A thought that doesn't announce itself, but lingers. And without even realizing it, you've left the present. Your body is here, but your mind is chasing ghosts of the past, of the future, of everything uncertain and unresolved. In those moments, the breath becomes more than oxygen. It becomes a tether, a thread leading you back to yourself. Because no matter where the mind runs, the breath never leaves. It's always here, always now. And when you return to it, even for just one inhale, you interrupt the cycle. You bring your awareness back from exile. The Buddha taught that mindfulness of breathing is the foundation of all peace. But mindfulness doesn't mean force. It doesn't mean blocking thoughts or silencing emotion. It means simply noticing with gentleness, with kindness, with honesty. The breath doesn't ask you to be perfect. It doesn't ask you to understand everything. It only asks that you come back. You don't need a special cushion or incense. You don't need to chant ancient words. You can begin right here, right now, exactly as you are. Just notice the inhale, and then the exhale. Let it be natural. Let it be enough. If your mind wanders, which it will, that's okay. The moment you notice, you've already returned. That noticing is the practice. That return is the healing. There is something profoundly sacred about the simplicity of breathing. In a world obsessed with doing, fixing, proving, we forget how powerful it is just to be. And the breath is always inviting you back to that place. Back to presence. Back to your body. Back to the still, quiet truth beneath the noise. You are not the chaos of your mind. You are not the stories it tells when you're tired or afraid. You are the one who breathes. And that is enough. Practicing presence in the middle of the ordinary. Most people imagine mindfulness as something that happens on a cushion, in silence, with incense burning in the background. But the truth is, the real work begins in the moments no one sees. When you're washing a cup, when you're tying your shoes, when you're putting away the groceries or standing in line at the pharmacy. These aren't the moments we usually call sacred, but they're the moments that make up most of life. Presence isn't about escape. It's about return. Returning to what's actually happening, instead of what we think should be happening. It's folding the laundry and noticing the warmth in your hands. It's brushing your teeth and hearing the sound of water. It's walking down the hallway and actually feeling your feet touch the floor. These are the places where awareness can bloom, not in some distant spiritual retreat, but here, in the middle of the ordinary. Buddhism teaches us that the present moment is the only place where life truly occurs. The past is memory. The future is imagination. But this moment, this breath, this step, this sip of tea is real. And yet, because it's so familiar, we often miss it. We rush through our days chasing something bigger, more meaningful, more important. But what could be more meaningful than fully living the life you already have? There is great freedom in learning to be where your feet are, not pulled into yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's worries, but rooted in the simple miracle of now. You don't need to fix anything. You don't need to make it special. You just need to notice. Presence is not a performance. It's a practice. And every ordinary moment gives you a chance to begin again. So the next time you find yourself reaching for your phone out of habit or drifting into a spiral of thought while doing the dishes, pause. Take one breath. Feel it. Then return to what's in front of you. It won't always feel profound. But that's the point. Life isn't always profound. It's mostly ordinary. But when you meet the ordinary with presence, something beautiful happens. It becomes enough. The kindness that softens the inner critic. There's a voice inside many of us that never seems to rest. It doesn't shout, but it cuts. It whispers things like, "You should be stronger than this. Why are you still struggling? You're such a burden." This is the voice of the inner critic. And for many people, especially those who've spent their lives caring for others, being responsible, holding it all together, it can be the loudest voice they hear when things finally go quiet. But here's what Buddhist wisdom teaches us. The path to peace is not paved with perfection. It's walked with compassion. And that compassion must include ourselves. We're often told to be kind to others, to forgive, to be patient, but rarely are we taught to turn that same gentleness inward, especially not when we feel weak or overwhelmed. But that's exactly when we need it most. Self-compassion is not indulgence. It's not weakness. It's the courage to stop abandoning yourself. It's the moment you place a hand over your own heart and say, "This is hard, and I'm doing the best I can." It's learning to speak to yourself the way you would speak to a dear friend, without judgment, without shame. Because the truth is, you've survived things no one else knows about. You've kept going when you were tired. You've shown up for others even when your own heart was breaking. That deserves tenderness, not criticism. The Buddha said, "You, yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." And that isn't just poetic. It's medicine. Because when we meet our anxiety, our sadness, or our fear with kindness, something begins to soften. The tension eases. The inner critic loses its grip. And in its place, there's space for healing to begin. You don't have to silence the inner voice all at once. Just notice it. Hear what it's saying. And then gently offer a new voice, a kinder one. You can say, "I hear you, but I don't need to believe you." Or, "I'm still learning, and that's okay." These small shifts matter. They add up. They rewire the way we relate to ourselves. And over time, they change the way we move through the world, not with armor, but with openness. So the next time that voice appears, the one that tells you you're not enough, pause. Place your hand on your heart. Take a breath. And remember, the most powerful healing doesn't come from pushing harder. It comes from softening. This is not mine. This is not me. This is not who I am. There are moments when anxiety wraps around us so tightly that we begin to believe it's who we are. It doesn't just visit. It settles into our identity. We say, "I am anxious. I am broken. I am not enough." And with those words, we unknowingly become prisoners of passing storms. But the Buddha offered a path out, not by denying the pain, but by gently seeing through it. He taught us to say, "This is not mine. This is not me. This is not who I am." These words may seem simple, but they are powerful medicine. They don't erase the experience, but they release our identification with it. Instead of saying, "I am the storm," we begin to realize, "I am the sky that holds it." In that shift, a sacred distance opens up, not cold or detached, but clear. Suddenly, we are no longer drowning inside the emotion. We are standing beside it, watching it rise and fall like a wave we no longer need to resist. To practice this is to reclaim your space, to breathe deeply in the middle of fear and say, "Yes, this is happening, but it's not who I am." You may feel tension in your chest, Your heart may race, your mind may spin, but beneath all that is a stillness that cannot be touched. A deeper you, a true you. This is the essence of non-identification. It's not about pretending the pain isn't real. It's about remembering that you are more than what you feel. Thoughts will come, emotions will surge, but they are not your identity. They are visitors. Some stay longer than others. Some feel louder, but none of them define you. The breath helps us anchor in this truth. With each inhale, we return to the witness within. With each exhale, we let go of the stories that keep us small. The more we repeat this practice, the more it becomes part of us, not just in moments of calm, but in the very center of our storms. So when fear comes, try whispering, "This is not mine. This is not me. This is not who I am." Not to escape, but to remember. You are not your fear. You are not your anxiety. You are not your past. You are the awareness behind it all. Still, present, free. A daily practice to gently unhook from fear. It begins with something small, a breath, a pause, a willingness to be with what's here without needing to fix it right away. Because the truth is, we can't think our way out of fear. We can't reason our way out of anxiety, but we can learn to relate to them differently. And that shift, subtle, quiet, repeated, is where freedom begins. You don't need a perfect setup. You don't need incense, silence, or a special cushion. You only need a moment. Sit down or stand if that feels better. Let your feet touch the ground. Let your body be just as it is. And now, bring to mind something that's been making you anxious. Don't dive into it. Just hold it gently, like you would hold a small bird. Let it sit there in your awareness, without trying to change it. Now take a breath. Slow, natural. Feel it move through your body, like a quiet wave. And then, in your mind, or softly out loud, say the words, "This is not mine." Breathe again. "This is not me." One more time. "This is not who I am." Say it not to push anything away, but to remember. You are not your fear. You are the one who notices it. The witness, the awareness, the steady presence beneath the storm. As you breathe, you might still feel the fear in your chest. That's okay. The goal isn't to eliminate it. The practice is simply to unhook, to create a little space between you and the emotion. In that space, there is choice. There is compassion. There is peace. You can do this practice anywhere. Sitting at the kitchen table, waiting in the car, lying in bed when sleep won't come. No one even has to know you're doing it. But every time you do, you're sending a message to your nervous system. I am safe. I don't need to panic. I'm here now. Fear may still knock on your door. That's part of being human. But with this practice, you don't have to let it move in. You can greet it with calm. You can sit beside it without losing yourself inside it. And that, in itself, is healing. So take a breath. Feel your feet on the floor. Whisper the words, not to fight, but to return. This is not mine. This is not me. This is not who I am. And in that remembering, you are already free. The final teaching, you are still here. After everything you've carried, the fears, the questions, the sleepless nights, after all the moments you thought you were too broken, too tired, too far gone, look at you. You're still here, breathing, listening, hoping. Somewhere beneath all the noise, something in you never gave up, and that matters more than you know. Buddhist wisdom doesn't promise a life free from suffering. It never said you wouldn't feel lost, anxious, or overwhelmed, but it offers something deeper than relief. It offers truth. And the truth is this: you are not your fear. You are not your mistakes. You are not your anxiety. You are the awareness that sees them. You are the breath that keeps returning. You are the sky that holds it all. If you've walked through this journey, these stories, these teachings, it means you're already practicing. Maybe you didn't realize it, but every time you pause to breathe, to soften, To notice instead of judge. You were stepping onto the path. You weren't fixing yourself. You were remembering yourself. And that remembrance is sacred. So when the next storm comes, and it will, don't look for perfection. Look for presence. Reach for your breath. Return to the simple truth. This is not mine. This is not me. This is not who I am. Let that be your compass. Let that be your shelter. You've made it this far. Not because life has been easy, but because you've kept showing up. Quietly, bravely, again and again. And that is enough. You are still here. And here is a beautiful place to be. You didn't just listen to a teaching. You took a quiet step inward. You softened. You breathed. You remembered who you truly are. This may be the end of the video, but it's just the beginning of your return to stillness, to truth, to the life that's already waiting for you inside the present moment. If this message touched something in you, I invite you to share it. You never know who might need this reminder today. And if you'd like more gentle teachings like this, where Buddhist wisdom meets the quiet questions of the heart, feel free to subscribe. You'll always be welcome here. And when you're ready, there are more videos waiting. Reflections on letting go, practices for peace, stories that don't just teach, but help you remember. Until next time, breathe deeply, walk gently, and remember, you are not your fear. You are the sky.